Hey, good morning or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're watching us from. I'm delighted to be here with you today. This is my LinkedIn Live show. I call it Social Media Pie because I bring on inspiring people to inform and educate you. And today I've got with me Nick Rayburn. Hey, Nick, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, Brenda. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And I say afternoon because Nick is in the UK where it is afternoon. It's 2:05 p.m. his time, 9:05 a.m. my time here. Delighted to be having you on here today, Nick. And you came to me by way of a recommendation from Annette Richmond, who I see is already in comments. So Annette, thank you so much for the suggestion of Nick. When I interview people on LinkedIn Live afterwards, Nick, I'll like email them and I'll say, hey, if you know of anyone else who might be a good guest for me, let me know. And she's like, Nick's awesome. And I read your about statement and I was like, really, it was a powerful about statement. And we messaged back and forth. And I said, how about you come on? We'll talk on LinkedIn Live. And I said, what do you want to talk about? And you said why cover stories and videos are important, which is awesome. So excited for this. So, Nick, for those people who don't know you, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and your business for us?
So I'm a social media consultant and video coach. I train large corporate teams in the art and science of social selling. And I also do one-on-one group and individual video coaching as well, because video is kind of my jam and my background. I was doing that for over half my life before I discovered this thing called LinkedIn and social media. So that's kind of my building blocks and my base from where I get a lot of my content from.
Awesome. There's probably people watching that are like freaked out by video, so I'm hoping we'll give them some tips to make it easier.
It's ridiculously intimidating for a lot of people because it's just weird and unnatural to look into a piece of glass and be talking to it. It just feels alien and strange. It's like most things in life though. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So
that's very true. It's funny as you're describing this to me. I remember when I first started doing live videos, it feels so weird. I'm looking at my camera. I'm tapping my camera right now.
Yeah.
And you're like actually down on my screen. So if I look down at your face, it doesn't really make for good engagement. But when I watch the playbacks, I'm like, it's so much easier, but you feel like it's like so surreal looking at a camera the whole time you're talking. But I feel like you almost learn to use your peripheral vision. So I kind of see you and I can see you moving around in here, but I agree with you. So so we're going to jump into the conversation. Before we do that, I want to welcome our audience. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Could you do us a favor? Could you please drop a comment below? That lets us know this thing is working. In the pre-pandemic days, we would do the mic tap. Hey, can you guys hear us? Can you see us? And if you don't comment, we don't know if this thing is working or not. And with StreamYard now, there's a way where we like will pre-schedule videos and the stream will go out. So Annette actually came on a little bit earlier and she commented and I'm like, I don't know if the stream is working or not, or if Annette's like kind of waking. So
hastily scribbling notes.
Right? I see that. Yeah. So I see David is watching us from Dryden, Michigan. Hey, David, how are you doing? So I'll continue to drop comments in as people are leaving them in here. So you guys don't be shy. Drop your comments, whether you're watching in live or in playback. And a little bit later on, I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions of Nick about cover stories or about using video on LinkedIn. And so let's jump right in, Nick, here. We're going to talk about cover stories and videos. And there's two topics here, cover stories and videos. So first, I guess, generally speaking, why are cover stories and videos important for LinkedIn?
Well, cover stories, this is really kind of timely because a few days ago, we couldn't have timed it any better considering we put this in months ago. But
right? I know.
a few days ago, LinkedIn, they've now switched over the moniker from cover stories. They're now referred to as profile videos.
Okay.
So they've updated it. They've kind of given them a shot in the arm. And they are massively supercharged now compared to how cover stories used to be. So some people may have noticed this, but as you scroll through your timeline, through your feed on LinkedIn, you'll notice that some people have like a little purple ring around their profile pictures. And if you click on that in the timeline, it'll actually pop up and it'll open their profile video.
Really?
Which is absolutely amazing and fantastic, because now you can, within 30 seconds, by seeing someone's interaction on the feed, you get a feel for who that person is. The relationship gets that much warmer, that much more quickly.
So I got to demo this real quick because this is like, to me, new information.
Mind blown.
Mind blown, right?
I'm not sure if it will work on desktop. I think it may only be mobile.
I did see, ironically, Annette has it around her photo on here. So I have to click to go to her profile to see the video. I can't just
If
hover
you,
over it,
yeah,
it looks like.
if you hover over it and click on it on mobile,
Oh, on
it will
mobile.
pop up
Okay.
and
All
yeah,
right.
it will pop up
Wow, that's
and
pretty
open
cool.
up.
So
And then,
anybody who's got that purple, it used to be an orange ring and they changed it to purple, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Which I kind of like.
Interesting.
The colors more interesting. But the things that they've added to the profile video are just it's magical now. So one of the things I did, I updated my profile video the other day. So if you've got an existing cover story,
Yeah.
you won't see the new profile video feature until you delete and re-upload your
Really?
profile video. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone that hasn't done it, do that first of all, because that will kickstart the new version. It's a slow rollout thing they're doing over the next kind of few weeks, and make sure obviously that your mobile application is up to date as well. Go in and check that your LinkedIn version of your mobile app is up to date. But yeah, things like being able to view the person's profile and DM them directly from their profile video in the feed is mind-blowing, to say the least. So I uploaded mine the other day, and one of the community managers from LinkedIn suddenly popped into my DMs and said, "Oh, I love your new profile video, Nick." I was like, "How did you see that?" And he was like, "I got a notification in my feed,
Oh,
clicked on
really?
it, and then I DM'd you from the feed." I was like, "Whoa!" Like
Wow.
mind blown.
So what do we know that's different? So far we know it's now in the homepage feed with a purple ring instead of orange.
Yeah,
We have to upload a new video or at least re-upload the same video in order for us to
correct.
get the features. Is the
Yeah,
length the same? And do we still get
it's the
the
same.
30-second preview or is anything
Yeah,
different
yeah,
with that?
yeah. So 3 second preview is still there,
Okay.
and it's still 30 seconds in length. So
Okay.
it's about maximizing that 30 seconds and making sure we've got kind of no dead space, and we'll get onto that in a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah, things like being able to message people directly from the profile video is amazing. There's new analytics they've added to it as well, which is, for me, I'm a as a social selling evangelist,
Yes.
analytics and data are, I'm a data junkie, and being able to see at the moment, you can only see the amount of people that have viewed it, but I think they're rolling out better metrics for that, so you'll be able to see kind of regions and businesses that have looked at that profile video, which for me is indispensable, because
Wow.
I know from my previous cover story, I knew that I was getting conversions from that. So now I can drill much further down into that data and figure out who's looking at it and how long
So
they
how do we
watched them
see the
for.
data? I mean, I'm looking at mine right now. I don't have it, but maybe because I haven't
So
re-upped a new video. Do you
on a
have it, does that come up when you click on your own video or where do you see
correct,
that data?
yeah. So on mobile, when you click on your you go to view or edit profile video, you'll see it in the bottom left hand corner. There's a little counter there which will show you the amount of profile views, not profile views, video views you've had on your profile video,
Okay.
which is
Wow.
interesting stuff. It's all new metrics, all new data, which is exciting.
Yeah. So let's take a little bit of a step back here because there's maybe folks that are watching and they're like, profile video, cover story. What the heck
What
is
is
that?
this?
I mean, there's people that are watching that are like, they have, I mean, they maybe have noticed the videos or not, but they don't even know what. So can we like take a step back and what are the videos? And I mean, what do you know about why LinkedIn launched them and how people are using them now?
Are we talking about profile videos in general, or are we talking about video in general?
Let's talk about profile videos in general and in the
Okay.
topic of those videos too.
I think for me personally, I mean, I was super excited when they first announced them, because they are personally, without a doubt, I think they're one of the warmest ways of getting a feel for who somebody is through their content initially. So you can go to someone's profile, look at their branding, look at their about section, look at their experience, but within 30 seconds of watching that video, you're like, I really like this person, they're cool, or I'm
Right.
not too keen on them, I don't really want to connect with them. So your profile video is like a really great screening tool in terms of like, this is me, this is who I am, this is my jam, and it just allows it allows you to build that relationship so much more quickly, I think,
Okay.
through video content, and the fact now that you can see it on your feed as it goes through your feed, it's kind of supercharging or accelerating the speed at which you can connect and start to interact with people, which is
Now,
super
I
cool.
heard when they first launched the videos, Nick, that they were for people who were job seekers to introduce themselves to employers. And I don't, I mean, I've seen some job seekers, but I feel like there's more people that are using them for personal branding, business development, or just networking purposes than job seekers.
Yeah,
Any thoughts on that?
I think the whole concept of personal brand, I don't think it's not necessarily, you know, personal brand can be applied to people that are job seeking as well. If you're building a personal brand, that stays with you when you leave an employer, or, and you can continue using it. So I would encourage anyone to start building out a personal brand on the platform and start to tweak and add stuff to their profile that's going to help them, you know, further their career. So
Yeah. So David actually has a question. This is like, David, you and I are like one mind right now, because I was thinking the same thing. So can you give us any do's and don'ts for profile videos, Nick? Any tips for people thinking about doing one? What's right, what's not right to do them?
Yeah, so a few ones. This one, we actually spoke about this before we started, and I'm kind of, my eye line's not quite right because I'm kind of looking down at my screen at my notes at the moment. But eye line is a major factor when you're recording your cover story. So cover stories are recorded on mobile. They are portraits, so they're vertical. So keep your phone upright, and always be looking at the lens. Your lens is what we call your eye line. So that's the person that you're speaking to. So
yeah,
you want to keep looking at the lens the whole time you're doing it. Some people, they stumble or stutter over what they're trying to say, and they'll kind of start to think about things, and they'll look up or look away, and it just makes you look weird and shifty, because it's like this is your audience. That's who you're speaking to. Like if I'm addressing you and speaking to you,
right,
you tend to kind of look around someone's face, look at their eyes, or sort of look slightly past them, but you hold your attention on that person. You don't kind of do this or look away. So
yeah,
do that, hold your eye line when you're recording. A big one, and this is huge, and it sounds probably counterintuitive for a lot of people, but script out what you're going to say. And I mean verbatim, script out what you're going to say. Don't have bullet points.
no,
When you have bullet points with video, what tends to happen is people they get hung up on what they're talking about. So by scripting it out, you're not concentrating on what you're saying, you're concentrating on how you're saying it. And video, a lot of it is non-verbal. It's all in the body language and communication. It's not necessarily what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So I could be talking about the dullest topic in the world, but if I'm really excited and animated about it, you're probably much more likely to be engaged.
right. You get excited too, right?
You get excited about it. So by scripting it out, you're concentrating. You're not having to remember what the words are. So what I generally tend to do is get and I got Annette to do this as well with her video coaching, is kind of do a couple of paragraphs at a time, script it out in blocks. Then all you have to do is memorize those blocks of text. So you just read out that particular block of text. When you're happy with that take, move on to the next one, rinse, repeat, and then you just take all those components and just stitch them together, edit them together, which is simple. And people get really intimidated with them editing, but editing is a doddle. It's so easy to do.
Do you recommend, like, should we spend the time doing it ourselves, or should we go out to like a Fiverr, Upwork, or somebody to do it for us? I mean, what are your thoughts?
There's no I mean, if you're just paying for a one-off, then Fiverr or Upwork, get someone to get it for you,
or someone like you, right, Nick?
or one, not necessarily someone like me, because we encourage people to do that component of it themselves. So one of the tools that we get people to use is Apple Clips, which is a free to use piece of software. If you
love Apple Clips.
Yeah,
it's the captions, and
there's a bunch of
bells and whistles, right?
It's amazing, for what it is, and the fact that it's free. So it does all your captioning for you. It's all built in. It is a doddle. Literally, my mum could edit. And my mum is a complete Luddite. I love my mum, but she's a Luddite. She could edit video on Apple Clips absolutely without question. It's so easy to use. So what happens is you just take the best clips from what you've got from those chunks of scripted up content, shrink the head and the tail so it's nice and tight, and then just drop in your clips and bosh, you've got a video. It's easy. It's so easy.
So you mentioned captions. I personally, I do my videos, my cover story videos in Apple Clips, and I use the captions feature, and I upload the video on my cover story with captions. I don't see everyone doing that. Pros, cons, is it a good practice, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, there's pros and cons for burning in subtitles. So obviously with Apple Clips, it will burn, what we call burn in the captions, so they'll be actually burnt into the video. You can upload a separate subtitle file, which is what I've done with my profile video, and you can use things like Rev or Subtitle for doing that. So there's pros and cons to it. I think at least if you're uploading a separate, what we call SRT file, caption file, there's the ability to turn it on or off. And the thing is as well, if you're burning in Captions, there's no ability to turn it on or off, and it can impact some of. So one of the things, again, I teach from my video coaching is when you're filming, if you know you're going to be kind of putting on screen elements, the video, make sure you've got enough clearance in terms of where you're going to be putting them. So I know if I'm going to be putting some graphics or titles above my head, I would probably need to sit a bit lower so that I've got enough room to put that content there or put that content there. So when you're filming, make sure that you know where you're going to be putting that stuff in terms of post production. So.
Okay, awesome. So we've talked a lot about cover stories, or they're calling them, you said, profile videos now?
Profile videos now, yeah. We're not referring to them as cover stories.
Now I got to get out of my... It's like when you name a child, that's the child's name. Now you're renaming the child, and I got to remember... and I'll have one example, Kenneth Lang. I don't know if you know Kenneth or not, but when I first met him, I called him Kenneth. And everybody else calls him Ken. And I'm like, but I asked you, what do you prefer? And you said, whatever. And I'm like, now you're Kenneth.
Now it's embedded. The neural pathways are just like that. It's Kenneth. It's Kenneth forever now.
It is. So we've talked a lot about profile videos. I got it. I want to shift gear and talk a little bit about videos in general on LinkedIn. And I know some people are like, they get anxious when they think about doing videos. Nick, what's your advice for them?
I guess the easiest thing is if you're going to do a profile video, you can use that as your initial video. So repurpose it. If you've created it for your profile, great, but do a post about it as well and embed that video in a post. There you go. Bosh, you've done your first video now. Simple, easy. And it's a great way of introducing yourself to your audience. Video, in terms of kind of your, sort of traditional marketing funnel, in terms of kind of know, like, and trust, is such a great way of getting people to get a feel for who you are through your. There's no other medium that allows people to kind of step towards you and get a feel for who you are than video. It's a much warmer medium than most. And the other thing I always kind of say is that we've got nearly 800 million users on the platform. Still only 1.5% of that user base creates content. Even less of that user base creates video content. So I always want to be where other people aren't. So make video, because you're going to have very little competition. So that's the reason for doing it. I get it's difficult. I get it's scary. It's intimidating at first, but we're grown-ups. Sometimes we have to do things that are scary.
We gotta do the things we don't want to do. We got to eat our broccoli or Brussels sprouts, right?
And it's not as I mean, ask Annette in the comments. It's not as intimidating. I mean, you look at Annette's video content compared to where she was like 6 months to a year ago. It's like night and day different. She's just so relaxed. So she's just herself on video, which is beautiful to see.
That would make actually a really cool feature for you on LinkedIn, like a working with your coaching clients, like a before and after. Sometimes I do that with like LinkedIn profiles, like where were they before and where are they now, to show the progression, because I think all of us have this like fear and anxiety of, we don't like to see ourselves in pictures. We don't like to look our faces, and we don't like to see ourselves in video. And there's like this anxiety that comes from it. For me, I've kind of shifted from being nervous about myself to the technical. Is it well lit? Can you hear the sound? And I'm even like more like, am I giving my interviewees a good experience? Am I engaging with comments enough? Like I try to shift from that focus. So any advice for people? We're going to talk to people right now, Nick, they want to do video, but they need a nudge. So let's give them some nudges or give them some tips on how to get started there.
So obviously the biggest component or kind of fear factor with a lot of people is like, I don't have the gear. I'm not technically minded, but everyone has a smartphone these days. I guarantee if you're using LinkedIn, you have a smartphone, which probably has a pretty decent camera, right? So you've already got the best piece of kit that you could use to make a video, which is your smartphone. One of the things that I always encourage people to spend money on is a decent quality microphone. There's an old adage that video is 90% audio. Your brain is a lot more susceptible to a bad cut or something that's badly shot than bad sound. So make sure you invest in a decent quality microphone, because it just pays dividends. If the picture is slightly fuddled, you can kind of fix it a little bit in post, but if the sound's gone, it is gone. So it's much better to get it right first time. So if you're going to invest in anything, invest in a decent quality microphone.
Okay. Do you have any tips on microphone? Because there might be people watching that are like, and I have a blog, like I put the stuff that I buy, and I'm like, it's not sponsored or endorsed. I'm not like a big deal or anything, but like, here's what I bought. And like the microphone I'm using today, I mean, hopefully it's pretty good quality, but there may be people that are watching that are like, I want to, if I invest in something, I want to invest in something that I know is going to be good. So do you have suggestions on specific models, or do you have a place where
Yeah,
people could look for that?
yeah. I mean, if you're going to be using a smartphone, generally a lav mic is what you'll need. So it's got kind of like a little clip-on tie mic. And Rode do some really, really good ones. They're fairly inexpensive, around kind of, I think they're around sort of 40 quid, which is probably around sort of, there we go. Look,
Is
smart
that
mic. Boom.
it? Like
That's the one. That's the
Rode.
one.
We should
As
like,
if by magic.
I'll tag Rode in my my comments here in a second. But I did a I don't know, it was like a public speaking class, and they recommended a setup like, one of
Yeah.
these. And this one, it's not super cheap. I mean, it's around, I think it was around $80 US for this model, but it's a good quality sound, right? And that's
Yeah.
so important, you're saying.
Yeah. It's they're a decent quality lav microphone, kind of pays for itself over time. There's a really easy rule of thumb to remember as well with sound, and that is this. So
What's that?
that's how far the distance should be from your microphone to your mouth. So if you
Ah, look at that.
do that, that is where your mic will be. So if you do it like that,
Oh,
that's where your
okay.
mic placement would be. Easy.
I've never heard that. So I
Remember.
just learned something new. I'm going to tell this to everyone. And I'm going to say Nick Rayburn is the guy who taught me this. So this is kind of like in the US, it's like
It's like,
hang 10. I
yeah,
think it's
hang
that
10.
symbol,
Yeah.
right? So now I'm like, I'm going to be very conscientious about it, because I was just going to ask, like, how does my sound, does my sound quality sound okay today? I've got, hopefully a
It's
better
good.
microphone.
Yeah, you've got decent condenser mic there. I guess it's is it a shotgun mic? Is it? I don't know what.
So this is like when I go to the dealership and they're like, "Is your car a V6 or a V8?" And I'm like, "It's a car. I don't know. Samsung."
Yeah, it looks like a condenser. But yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Somebody recommended I get a better microphone because I was doing an audio book, and I said, "Okay, I'll buy a better microphone."
but yeah, the sound is good. The biggest thing I think with a lot of sound, and this is why again, and it kind of goes back to feature films. So with feature films, most of the time on a feature film script, you have what's called interior and exterior locations marked on the script, which are INT and EXT. And the first thing a film producer will do if they get a script, if there's more exterior scenes on the script than there are interior scenes, the first thing they'll do with that script is throw it straight in the bin. Because
really?
it's more expensive to shoot outside than it is in a controlled environment inside.
Okay.
So you're at the mercy of wind noise, animals, other people. Just there's so much stuff that can go wrong. Weather, things that you just can't control. But in a controlled environment, it's easy to shoot. So I always encourage people where I can to try and shoot indoors if they can in a controlled environment. Which is why it's good. If you're going to be getting into the habit of doing a lot of video content, have a space that's kind of permanently set up, that's all lit and ready to go, so you can just drop in there. You've got your ideas, you've got your script, and you're all ready to go. You're not messing around setting up tons of gear every single time. So it's just a huge time saving advantage.
There's so many great tips in here, and I should be putting more in as we're going along in here, but I'm going to probably watching the playback and I'll jot some more notes down. If you guys are watching, I'd love if you could leave comments of tips that you're picking up from the video too. That'll help me, and it'll help others in case they joined a little bit later, they missed those tips on here. Nick, we're going to change gears a little bit in here now, and I want to encourage our audience to participate in the conversation. And give me just a second. When you're piloting and co-piloting, sometimes it's hard to find the tickers that I've built up in there.
I can see Claire's in there, and Alex. Hi guys.
There you go. So you can see the comments too now, right?
I can, yeah.
But you can only see them, I think, in the side navigation until I pull them up, and then you can see them in here. It looks like StreamYard did some update recently because there's some new feature. Do you use StreamYard, Nick, or do you use?
I do. I'm a StreamYard. Yeah, I think it's like Windows or Mac, isn't it? Like I see StreamYard as kind of like the Mac, like the cool kid on the block, and then Restream's kind of like Windows.
Yeah, right? It's different. So I have a question though. I don't know if you noticed this inside StreamYard, next to the comments, there's like a little star now to the comments.
Exciting.
So I don't know what happens if it's hide current comment. No, I don't know what that is. Does anybody know? Oh, I know what it is. So it says live and then there's starred. So now if I see people asking questions, this is something we asked.
Was it like a featured thing? So you can
you can put, there's like, if you star them, now there's a second column called starred. So I can go back and I can like.
That is exciting. That is super exciting.
Very good. All right. So guys, if you have questions for Nick, we're here talking about cover stories as well as I need to rename this though, Nick.
Profile
Profile
videos.
videos.
Profile videos.
It's gonna take me. It's gonna be like another Kenneth. I'm sorry. Profile videos, and just regular videos on LinkedIn. Why they are important. If you guys have questions, for Nick, he's a video expert. I'm gonna call you that. Is that okay, Nick?
I'm never comfortable with the word expert.
But if I call you it, it's okay. It's
if you call me, it's fine.
right.
But I'm a lifelong learner. I am committed to, like, the day I stop learning about stuff is the day I curl up my toes and die, basically. So the word expert to me just makes me cringe, because it's like, oh, you must know everything then. So
But if it's somebody else calls you that,
yeah,
thank you,
I guess it's
kind. It's the way to
acceptable.
take the
Yeah.
compliment. I mean, you know more about video than I know, so I'm gonna call you.
Okay,
Greg
I'll
joined
take
us a little bit late. He was in the stream in the LinkedIn homepage feed, and I tagged him in so he would know that we saw him up on screen. But he says, he kind of missed the first part of the conversation. LinkedIn's rolling out a new version of Cover Story. Yes, Greg, that is in fact the case. But Nick informed us today it's called Profile Video.
Yes.
And you said, Nick, we have to upload the new video in order to get the feature.
Correct. So you have to delete your old cover story, even if you've got the same one. Delete your old cover story and re-upload your old one, and it should enable the feature, and people will get notified that they've seen it.
All right.
So you'll have to jump in your DeLorean and go back in time 30 minutes to.
There are some people that are going, what's a DeLorean? Like, there's some people that are not getting there.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, you guys. Go watch the movie. Don't just look it up. You have to watch the movie to appreciate it. So question coming in from Cody. Hey, Cody, how are you? Does LinkedIn have a video editor, or do you have to do it yourself? Nick?
I don't think at the moment it does inside the new feature, but they do. I think they have things in there which is a bit like how they used to have with stories, so you can add stickers and things like that. So I think, I don't want to kind of jinx it, but I think it may be coming eventually to the platform.
Fingers crossed. That would be exciting. Yeah. So here's a question that's come in from Ziz, and he's asking, how do we make profile or cover videos? So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but give us some tips on that.
So you use your smartphone. Try not, and I get this is again pushing people out of their comfort zone a bit, but try not to do things in one take. If you script it out, do it in sections and edit it, it keeps the pace up on the video as well. So I see a lot of people doing profile videos. I almost called it cover story then. I see a lot of people doing profile videos, and they do it in a single take, which 30 seconds may not seem like a long amount of time. But there will be instances there where you stumble over your words or you forget things, and it's as much about this is the first time someone's going to see you on their feed or on your profile. So we want to bring that energy and kind of professionalism. And when you start kind of stumbling over words or kind of messing things up, it's like it just seems a bit off. So making sure it's all scripted out and you're doing it in sections just means you keep your energy levels up as well with the video. It's more engaging to watch than it is to watch someone, even, I know 30 seconds doesn't sound very long, but if you're watching just someone on a locked off shot for 30 seconds, there's not enough pattern interrupts in there for people to go, I want to keep watching this, or it's engaging enough to, you might think it is, but the person viewing it probably won't. So
it's not feeling that way to them. So I want to come back to a comment you made earlier. You just made me think about it again, which is the level of energy you have on video. And I'm gonna kind of demonstrate this. Like before you and I went live on video, when I welcomed you, I'm like, hey Nick, good morning. I'm gonna walk you through my spiel, what I'm doing here first, and then I'll give you a chance to answer. And we were more like conversational. And then you probably noticed the shift in my energy level as soon as we went live, right? I was like on stage. I'm like, good morning, welcome. This is
let's go.
And it's a little bit like, it's a little over the top, but it reminds me almost of like if anyone's watching, if you've ever been in the theater community, your stage makeup, it's always brighter, bolder than what you would wear.
It's theatricality. You're amplifying those parts of your persona for the camera. And it is a performance, and that's what I tell people when they're doing video content, that there's an element of performance to it, and making sure that you're bringing that energy to it, because no one wants to sit there and listen to someone, and that's part of the fear factor of doing videos, that you can see the difference when people initially start with video. they're very kind of, you can tell just from their body language, they're kind of closed off. They're kind of,
Right.
it's like, this is scary, this is intimidating. And the more comfortable and relaxed they get with the process of doing it, they start to open up, you know, that they start to become kind of more upright, more animated. And that's beautiful when that happens. It's like now you're at the point where you're comfortable in the medium and you're being yourself, and that's where the magic happens. So.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, it's, you don't just get there from starting your first video, do you, Nick? I mean,
It's like putting reps in at the gym. And the thing
right?
is, I've been producing and directing people on the other side of the camera for over 20 years. I started initially doing my own video content on LinkedIn over 2 years ago. If you go back and look at my early video stuff, I look at it and I cringe because it's like it's terrible.
Really?
It's just,
when you look back at your first ones,
my earliest stuff, because it's like it just it's. Yeah, you just get used to being in front of the camera. It's a very surreal experience being on the other side of the camera. Like I used to direct and produce people from the other side, and it's like when you go on the other side of it, you actually start recording yourself. You're like, I get what people feel now when I'm directing them. Like, this is just weird. It feels strange. So
yeah, it's hard because the further you get, or the more experience you become with video, you forget how you felt in the beginning.
yes, yeah,
But
yeah.
it reminds me, like the energy level thing reminds me of if you've ever seen like a local commercial from a local car dealership, and you've got like the owner who comes out in the beginning of the video and he's like, hey, this is Sale from Sales Used Auto Sales.
Yep.
Coming out this Saturday, we've got Super Saturday. And then they cut to like a salesperson. Hi, this is Gina. Come see me for the car of your dreams.
The irony is that kind of content works really well on LinkedIn.
Right?
It's a kind of parody, like prestige type thing.
The parody, yeah. But
yeah.
I think it's you know, we can tell if you genuinely want to be on video, but you're not gonna get to that comfort level unless you start doing it, right, Nick?
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well. I encourage people when they initially start, talk about subjects that you're passionate about. You can't hide when someone's passionate or excited about a subject. If you talk about something you have zero interest in, it's very likely that you're going to put any kind of energy or delivery into it, because your body doesn't lie. You're not passionate or engaged about it, so you're not animated about it.
So what do you think about? You just made me think of something too. What do you think about talking about things in video that you post on LinkedIn that aren't necessarily work related? So I'll use an example. I love pie. If you get me on camera talking about pie, I'll like light up because I love pie. So what do you think? I mean, can we talk about personal habits?
I can't believe I was listening to a LinkedIn, because I'm part of the beta community on the LinkedIn audio thing, and I can't believe in 2022 we are still having this conversation about should we be talking about personal and should we be talking about, they are one and the same thing. You take both of those things and kind of overlap them. That's what we should be talking about. It's us as a person, like all the things that we're interested in, that's what we can talk about, and we're the one building our audience, so we get to dictate what we can talk about. Go for it. Talk about pie. I'm I love pie. I love pie as well.
I heard from Annette you love movies too, Nick. Is this
I love
story?
movies too. Yep. I'm a big movie nerd as well. But I think I think that mixture of content is important in terms of kind of your like and trust stuff. Like I'll put a lot of video content around me and my family and what I'm up to at the weekend, because my audience kind of engages well with that stuff. So the thing is, it's your line to draw in terms of kind of where you feel comfortable putting that content. If you don't feel comfortable putting it out, then don't put it out. But I happen to feel comfortable putting that kind of content out. So, but I would totally watch videos of you doing pie reviews. Absolutely.
Right? I mean, I could like have like a live video baking a pie from start to finish. I know StreamYard, there's like a 4-hour maximum. And I know that because I last year I did some LinkedIn live-a-thons and I tried to do like a 6-hour one, and the video like stopped at 4 and I couldn't figure out why. But I could do like a pie baking video. I don't think people would watch 4 hours of that, but hey, I have I mean, you might be surprised. I don't know. Someone, and this is LinkedIn user. Where's the little gray box over here? LinkedIn user. It's either coming up this way because your profile is locked down. You don't have it set to public profile photo, or there's like a third party setting for your photo. I'll drop a link to help you out, but I can't see who this person is, but they are asking Nick, what video editors do you recommend to stitch those clips together? Thoughts there?
So the obvious ones that I recommended earlier, if you're If you're on Apple, it's Apple Clips. There is another version on Android, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will put it in the comment section, which is similar to Apple Clips, because it makes sense if you're shooting on your phone, it makes sense to kind of edit on your phone. It does get easy when you're doing stuff on desktop. So if you want to go a bit more advanced, you can look at things like, if you're on a Mac, Final Cut Pro X, or I mean, these are kind of industry standard, or Adobe Premiere, which works on Mac and PC, or Divinci, Blackmagic Divinci Resolve as well, which is free, but they've got really steep learning curves to them in terms of the difference between using Apple Clips and using Final Cut Pro is like there's just loads of buttons and loads of windows, and it's great if you want to learn that stuff. But you don't always have to. You can sub out the edit work to someone else.
Are you a Canva user at all, Nick?
I'm not, unfortunately. I used to be. One sec.
Okay. And the reason I ask about Canva is I like to call it like graphic design for dummies. I know if you look up the official description, it doesn't say that, but it's kind of like, for me, when you talk about Adobe Premiere and Divinci, I'm like, I get really intimidated. But Canva is like, I'm not just for graphic creation, but you can do video creation. So if you guys watched the beginning of the video, I had like a intro countdown ticker playing that was created in Canva. Each of those are just different slides with animations, and at the end, if you stay all the way to the end, you'll see my outro video as well. But I think within Canva you can stitch videos together in there as well, and it's a free tool. I mean, you could upgrade, but
it's relatively easy to use. So I use I want to give them props because I think they're an amazing company, but I used to be a massive Adobe guy, but their software now is just sorry Adobe, but it's really buggy and really expensive, so I switched over to Affinity. So I use Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, and Affinity Publisher. They are every bit as good as the Adobe apps, and they're a one-off payment, and they're amazing. I love them, and they're really, really fast. And I cannot say enough good things about the Affinity suite of stuff.
Really, that's good. And I use by way of referral by John Asperian, actually, whose comment I just had up on here, Camtasia. It's like do you know John? You have to know John, right?
Yeah, I know John. Yeah.
So John, he was doing a lot of videos, and I'm like, what do you use? And he said Camtasia, and I bought it. It was, a couple $100 license the first time I bought it, and there's like an upgrade fee for it, but it does a lot more bells and whistles. It's probably not as good as your Adobe Premiere and Divinci, but for me, I kind of felt like it was intuitive. So there's probably other tools like that out there too.
It depends, it's like everything. You kind of start out and you kind of get used to it, and you're like, I want to do this and I want to do that, but I'm finding the software is kind of limiting me. And then you kind of take the next evolutionary leap and start to learn more advanced stuff. So, there's stuff in that I do in my videos that you can't do in things like Apple Clips, like in terms of kind of the transitions and stuff like that. So
yeah, you get what you pay for, but I think there's probably levels of complexity when we think about what we want to use for video editing. And you might start with kind of the lower level, the free tools, and then you upgrade to higher level software, and then you get to a point where you're so busy with your business that you need to outsource it or find somebody for video coaching. Do you know anybody like that, Nick?
No.
So we're kind of getting towards the end of our conversation here, Nick, and I want to pull up your profile for folks on LinkedIn where they can learn more about you. But are you open to accepting connections, followers only?
Yeah, just pile in. The more the merrier. Always happy to chat to people about video stuff. So yeah, feel free to follow me. I'm always putting tips out. I've got a newsletter that goes out every week. Incidentally, actually, my newsletter tomorrow is going to be all about the new profile video feature.
Oh, awesome.
There will be a link in there to the inside the newsletter, which will take you to a free PDF resource, which has a script template on it. Has a lot of the things that we talked about today on the live in terms of tips, what the new profile video features are. And how to create your own one. So go check it out.
So, and we did talk about this in the pre-show, and I this is a little bit staged, but I asked Nick, I'm like, how do I find your newsletter? And you said scroll down to your featured section, and it's the middle one that says Ready Player One, the latest newsletter that you've published. And then when you click on there, and I'm doing this so you guys can actually see, and if you wanted to subscribe, you could go to, so this is the latest one. I'm going to put this into a banner right now, and then I'll drop this into comments for you guys as well. But this is like the latest one. So linkedin.com/Pulse. Pulse used to be like Once Upon a Time where they put all the blogs and videos and everything else. And it's still like the navigation path on there. So when you go to this link that I put in here, then you want to click on in the upper right-hand corner, see where it says 7,635 subscribers. By the way, very nice. You want to click on subscribe there. And at that point, it'll get a notification. It says you'll be notified when there's a new article. So tomorrow I should get a notification from LinkedIn, right, Nick? And then I think I get an email that'll have the newsletter publishing in there. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, and there'll be a link at the bottom of that newsletter to the PDF resource. Yeah.
Awesome. And what else? I think you have a website. I want to pull that up on screen as well. Give me just a second. This is the tricky part about when you're navigating piloting and co-piloting on here.
That's why I get my PA Haley down does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff when I'm doing my lives, because I can't, like, there's just way too many buttons to push and talk to people at the same time.
Right? Yeah. So I'm going to pull up your website in just a second here, but this is where people can go to learn more about you. Is that right?
So this is a range of our new products. So at the start of the year, I went through a new rebrand. Our new website is launching probably, if I can get Dave to work on the images fairly soon. It'll probably be launching in the next month or so. So this is just our products page at the moment.
Awesome. I love it. It's got some visual interest when you first visit the page, some things flashing. And you got the magenta pink, the bright color pink. And it was funny because when Nick and I were in the pre-show prep, I usually have my branding a little bit different in StreamYard, and there's different ways you can set up your StreamYard screen in terms of comments and colors and things like that. And I normally have like this gray look to text because the pink is a little bit too overwhelming. But when I saw like pink was your brand color too, I'm like, hey, we're going to go pink today. We're going to go all out.
Damn right. Damn right.
All right, Nick. So any final comments for folks? We're here talking about why cover stories in videos are important. So any final comments on this topic for people that are watching?
Yeah, just don't be intimidated by video. Just dive in, even if it's something as simple as recording and that free resource will help. Something as simple as recording your first profile video, because you can repurpose that and use it as a piece of content. And then you're out there. Then I always say that the biggest hurdle to getting people to doing this is doing your first one. Once you've done your first one, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. And some people did interact with it, and the world didn't spin off its axis, and right. Nobody burned.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just make a video and get your first video out there. You'll be pleasantly surprised, I think, by how people receive it. And I think people overthink things, and their kind of ego gets in the way in terms of they see all the bad things that are going to happen from producing that video content. And it's like, it's nothing bad's going to happen. Just do it. Take the leap and make your first video. It's not as scary as you think it is.
Yeah, it's like jumping in the deep end of the pool. As soon as you get in there, the water's fine.
It's fine.
It's a little intimidating. There's no alligators in the bottom. You're gonna be fine. But
you'll live.
So anything else, Nick? Are you working on anything right now that we should know about, or anything else you want to tell us about?
Yeah, just the new website launch, which will be up in the next, hopefully, timeline wise, the next month and a half to 2 months. But yeah, they'll have links to more resources on there. So basically, if you kind of look at my branding, it's the way I kind of describe it is the pink side of my branding is kind of my creative side. It's the kind of little boy inside me. It's my fun, cheeky side, and then the black side is the kind of serious, grown up business, social selling side of stuff. So
yeah,
that's me.
Blend of both of them. You got the black and the pink that's on there. Awesome. So, well, Nick, thank you so much. This has been a delight chatting with you here today and getting to know a little bit more about you and your business as well. And I can see why Annette recommended you. I look forward to continuing to watch you and support as your new website launches as well. So thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Brenda. And thanks for everyone out there in comment land as well. Thanks for the comments and the questions.
Yeah. And speaking of, hey guys, if you are just watching this video now, you can still drop a comment in here, whether you're watching this in live or in playback. I'll make sure to share the link with Nick so he can come back later. And if you do have any additional questions, he'll be sure to look at those comments as well as we're finishing off the video here. And one final favor I have to ask all of you. Did you enjoy this discussion? If you did, I want to ask you a favor. Once the video's done, go back to my timeline for Brenda Meller and you'll see a link for the video, and then you'll click on share. And when you share the video, that will share it out as a post. tag Nick in the post, and tell us something that you learned by watching the video here today. You never know who you're going to reach when you do so. And this is it's an easy hack for posting content on LinkedIn. If you're struggling with, I don't know what to post, when you watch a live video, after you're done watching it, share it out with your network. Tag the person who is the host of the video or the star of the video, Nick in this case, and tell people something that you learned. Even better would be tag someone in your network who might be interested in the comment and in the content rather, or you could even share the video with them if you want to do that a little bit more privately. But it's a really great way. If you did enjoy the discussion, it helps my guests because I like to let them know how much they are loved and appreciated. So by sharing it out, it helps with Nick's visibility. And on behalf of all of us, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing all of you on LinkedIn. And remember, I've got an outro video coming. We talked about this earlier, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see you on the other side, Nick. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.